And next week in social studies, we're gonna learn some fun facts about some presidents of the United States. So let's first learn about President's Day. So we're gonna learn all about President's Day. President's Day is celebrated on the third Monday of February every year. So look at our calendar. February 1st is the first February. February 8th is the second February. February 17th is the third February. So that is why, and Monday, that is why we celebrate President's Day every February, the third Monday. Now, guess what? Abraham Lincoln's birthday is on February 12th. So last Friday, when we had our Valentine's Day party, that was Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And George Washington's birthday is on February 22nd. So look at the calendar. When is February 22nd? Right?
If you go down on President's Day, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's the Monday after President's Day. So President's Day is a day that we can celebrate their birthdays. And however, many people celebrate not only Abraham Lincoln and George Washington's birthday, but they celebrate all the presidents we've had in the past. Okay? Wyatt.
Did you know that that George Washington's birthday wasn't a holiday until 1872?
Then they made it a holiday. Good fact. Now, let's learn a little bit about George Washington. So, he was the first president of the United States. And I have these cool cards. And every day we're going to learn some fun facts about the presidents. He's our very first president. He was the commander-in-the-chief of the armies. He was in charge of the army. And he was the one who wrote our Constitution. And he was the only president that did not live in the White House. Because there was no White House yet. So the White House is where the President of the United States lived. But he was the only president that did not live there. There is a monument in Washington, D.C. called the Washington Memorial that you can go visit. And also, if you ever go to Mount Rushmore, which I know Ingrid wants to go there, to Mount Rushmore, he is one of the faces that is carved in at Mount Rushmore. And guess what? Here's another fun fact. His face is on the $1 bill and the quarter. So there's a lot of cool facts about him. So I'm going to put him up here. And we're going to do a couple presidents today, but we're not going to finish them all. Wyatt.
And George Washington's teeth, or dentures, was hippopotamus.
Yeah, you know what? That's a fun fact. His teeth were made from elephant and walrus tusks, and they were not wood. So a lot of times, people back then, they had to have fake teeth because there was no dentist, and they would lose their teeth because they wouldn't be able to take care of them. They couldn't really brush them. There was no dentist, so they would lose their teeth. So guess what they got?
Dentures.
Dentures, fake teeth. And his fake teeth, you're right, were made out of walrus tusks, elephant tusks, wood. They're not wood. And what was the other one you used? Hippo?
Hippo.
Yeah, I guess I might have heard hippo, but I believe you're right.
Didn't I tell you that?
Okay, Lewis?
Yeah. And the White House is on the corner.
It is on the back.
Yeah.
It can, yeah,
It
definitely.
can be.
Okay,
but
Addie.
birds
Where
can
did
be on
George
there.
Washington
Anything can
go if he was the president?
So where did he live? Good question. He lived at his home. And if you ever go there, it's called Mount Vernon. It's by Washington, D.C., but that's where he lived. And you can go there and you can tour it. Nobody lives there anymore. It's just where his home is. And he's also buried at Mount Vernon. So he's kind of in the Mount Vernon. His house is kind of like on a river. And so he's buried back there too. So you can go visit it. It's like a museum.
Mr. Murphy, look at
Oh,
the two is upside down.
yeah, they wrote it kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, last thing, Kaden.
When he passed away, he got buried there?
Yep, they buried him there by his home. All right, why did you have one more fact?
If he's buried there, then it must be haunted.
Nah.
I don't know if you believe that. Now, we're gonna skip. We're not gonna go to the second president because we're gonna talk about Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president. So he's number 16. He was the president during the Civil War, and he was credited to getting rid of slavery. He was the president that said we should not have slaves. Slaves are not okay. And then he was killed in 1865. He was at like a movie theater, not like a movie theater we go to, but like a play. And he was up in the theater. It's called Ford's Theater. And he was up there watching, like in the balcony.
Yeah.
And somebody shot and killed him.
I thought he said.
And you can also go there if you want to see Ford's Theater where he was shot and killed. You can also go there. He also has the Lincoln Memorial, which looks like this. Do you guys notice this
It's on
building
pennies.
on something? What do you think, John?
Pennies.
It's on the penny. So if you ever look at the penny,
But it's very brown, and you can barely see
You
the
can-
outline.
you can barely see it. And guess what? We haven't talked about money yet in math. But if you take a little magnifying glass and look at the back of the penny, guess what you can see?
Yeah.
It's his body. It's a statue of Abraham Lincoln in his memorial. So when we talk about money, you guys remind me we need to get out the magnifying glasses and look for Abraham Lincoln. Now, his face is also Mount Rushmore. And his face is on the $5 bill.
I see
So
it.
he is also on the money.
I see it.
So these two presidents, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, these presidents are probably the most famous ones. Okay? Wyatt.
George Washington.
Did you forget?
Second group.
Second group to Miss Shapers. Okay. Now, here's another fun fact about President Abraham Lincoln. He is the tallest president that we have ever had. And he was also the very first president to be killed while president. That's called assassinated. So he was our very first president to be assassinated. Okay? Kaden.
So if he was killed there, then wouldn't he be still living there?
Why? No, if you're killed somewhere, is that where you live? Because you're
No.
dead.
So, but you can still hunt them.
We're not going to be talking about that. Okay, facts. Addie.
Is there like 100 presidents?
Okay, we're going to talk about how many presidents there are, and we'll find out in just a minute. Okay? All right, now, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit more about the White House and President's Day, and then we'll do some more fun facts about our presidents. The White House is where the home and workplace of the President of the United States is. However, we know that George Washington did not live in the White House. He was the only president that did not live there. It's 6 stories high. So think of our school. Our school is 1 story, 2 stories. It would be like 3 of our schools on top of each other. That is how tall the White House is. It has 132 rooms
I didn't even know
and 35 bathrooms.
that.
Think of your house. You have 1 or 2 bathrooms,
That's
probably
great.
maybe 3. But the White House, where the president lives, has 35 bathrooms.
I have 40.
It has 5 chefs that cook for the president. It has a pool. It has a bowling alley and a movie theater. Every president except for George Washington lived here. And guess what? In 1814, the British troops burnt down the White House, and then they had to rebuild it in
I know.
1817.
Wait,
Okay.
I watched that.
Ellie,
In Minecraft, we made that.
you made the White House. Very cool.
Me too.
Wyatt.
Working on it.
When it was burnt down in 1814, that was the Battle of the New Orleans.
All right, Addie.
They say it took a lot of paint.
I would think so, yes. Definitely.
It takes
Hayden.
150,000 gallons. I watched, because I watched a movie of the White House pretty much getting blown up.
Burnt down.
Yeah.
Okay, now, let's talk about what the president does. He is in charge of all the forces of law. He's in commander-in-chief of like the Army, the Navy, like all those branches. He's in charge of them. He writes and signs laws, and he makes sure he has judges that work in the courts. And then he also works with other countries, and he makes sure that our country has enough money. Now, how do you become a president? You have to be born in the United States, and each one of you was born in the United States, so all of you could be president. Now, if you're born in Canada or Mexico, you cannot be president of the United States. You must be at least 35 years old. So can you guys be president?
No.
You have to be 35 years old. And here's another one. You have to live in the United States for at least 14 years. So let's say Ingrid was born in the United States, and how old are you, Ingrid? 8. And let's say your mom and dad moved to Germany, which is another country. And you go to school there, and then you go to high school and college there, and then you come back to the United States when you're 36 years old, and you say, I want to be president.
You can't.
What are they going to say?
No.
No, because you haven't lived here for 14 years. You've only lived here for 8. Yep. So you have to live here for 14 years. And then you must run for election, and then you must get elected. And we just learned all about the election because we had an election this year, didn't we? Now, who can vote for the president? We've already talked about this, but remember, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be at least 18 years old, and you have to register to vote. Okay, now, we've learned 2 facts about a couple presidents. We're going to learn a few facts. I think about 5 every day. Because we can't do them all, because that'd be way too many. So, we've already done George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. We're going to go on to the second president. His name was John Adams. And here's some fun facts about John Adams. He was president number 2. And he was the first vice president to later become president. So he was vice president for George Washington, and then he became president.
Again.
Now, he's the only president, I should say, he was the first president who his son became president. So his name is John Adams. His son, we will learn, will be president also. His son's name is John Quincy Adams. See how there's a Quincy in there? John Quincy Adams. So this will be the dad, and later on we'll learn that he will have a son named John Quincy Adams that becomes the president. Now, he's the very first president to live where? Everybody?
White House!
He's the very first president to live in the White House.
Amazing.
John Adams. Okay? Now, we're going to go on to the third president. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson.
I think I heard of
Now, Thomas Jefferson was the first president to be inaugurated in Washington, D.C. So, do you guys remember when Biden was just inaugurated in Washington, D.C.? He's the very first one. Are you okay, Ellie?
Yeah.
Okay. You missed your chair. Are you okay, hon? Okay. He was the very first president to be inaugurated there. He also spoke 6 different languages. So you know how we speak English?
And nothing else.
And nothing else?
I can
So
speak
he speaks 6 different languages.
I can speak 5.
Isn't that
I can
that's how
speak
they're-
5.
Yes, Spanish, Chinese.
And I don't know his languages, but I would guess maybe Chinese would be one, and probably Spanish. Yep. English for sure. Okay. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison is number 4. Now this president is the smallest president. He is 5'4". So Mrs. Murphy, well, I kind of have tall shoes on, but I'm 5'8" or 9. So he's probably up to here on me. And he only weighed 100 pounds.
What the?
Oh,
I weigh 100
Some
pounds.
of you are probably close to 100. He was a very small, tiny president. And when he was president, there was the War of 1812. And he of the presidents that signed the Constitution. And he also had a vice president. You know how presidents have vice presidents?
Yeah.
And both of his vice presidents died when he was president. Because back then, people would die a lot and young because they would get sick. You know how we have COVID and Corona? We have like masks and stuff to prevent it, and now we have vaccines. Well, back then, when people got sick, they didn't have that stuff. So both of his vice presidents died when he was president. So he had to get, when the first one died, he had to get a new one. And when that one died, he had to get another new one. Brain.
Isn't the one that you just put up?
James Madison.
Isn't he on a dime? Or
I don't think he's on the dime. We'll look that up in just a little bit, okay? But I don't think he's on the dime. All right, now we're gonna do one more and we're gonna stop for today. The number 5 is after James Madison is James Monroe. And James Monroe was, let's see, he had his inauguration outside. He was the first president whose daughter got married at the White House. Isn't that cool? So just think if your dad was president and you were getting married and you could have your wedding at the White House. So his daughter was married at the White House and he died on the 4th of July. And guess what? John Adams also died on the 4th of July.
the same year?
And also Thomas Jefferson Mullen died on the 4th of July. And the 4th of July is like our country's birthday. And so that's kind of significant because he died on our country's birthday.
Wait, did they die?
The
all
4th of
at the same
July.
time?
So wouldn't they be Uncle Sam?
Wouldn't they be Uncle Sam? What do you mean?
Isn't that a governor?
Uncle Sam is kind of like a,
No, that's Walt.
yeah.
I know that, but
Uncle Sam is kind of like a, what's the word? I don't want to say mascot, but a figure for our country. And his name is Uncle Sam. And we'll talk a little bit more about him later.
Uncle Sam.
But let's get through our presidents first. Now, hope you learned some fun facts. Tonight when you go home, maybe you can share with your mom and dad some fun facts about the first 5 presidents. We did talk about Abraham Lincoln because we will talk more about him tomorrow and Friday too. I'm gonna show you guys, while I'm reading today, I did make a President's Day packet for fun. And in here, there's a President's Day poem and there's a word search. So while I'm reading today, if you wanna work on the word search, you can. And then also at the back, there's an acrostic poem where you think about different things that start with each letter. So for President's Day, I have president, and so for P, I could put
perfect.
People.
people, because the people vote for us.
Perfect.
Perfect, or president. For R, I could vote, I could do
Perfect president.
ring, well, I don't know if a ring has to do with it, but think of things that go with President's Day. And if you can't think of things right now, today,
The S you can
we can finish that later. But I don't want you worrying about this now. I want you doing more of this word search if you want. And then you can also color, okay?